Party people, what is up? Today's process is literally just an excuse for me to get dirty and make messes and to play with paint and color. I love the Citrus Twist Kits Life Crafted album for this particular reason. The size is really accessible. Each side is 5 by 8.5. So if you're like worried about 12 by 12 or even 9 by 12, this size is so much smaller because it's pretty much 8.5 by 11. Well, it's 8.5 by 10, but it's pretty much 8.5 by 11. And so it is just a really easy way to just get on, make quick layouts. Like, these pages do not have to take a lot of time unless you're like me and you do as much mixed media as possible on one single page. But even with all the mixed media that I do on this layout, this whole thing took me about 40 minutes to do from start to finish. So a really easy way to just make something pretty if you don't have a lot of time and you just want to play with paper. So what I decided to do was document a rainy day selfie. And I had the Felicity Jane Brooke kit in my stash. And if you are familiar with Brooke, it's all about rainy days and about life just being not okay. And so it was perfect for this picture. So I have this stencil that is just a bunch of raindrops. Do not ask me where it came from. I do not remember. My stencils live in a binder and they're no longer in their packaging. So I have no idea where they come from. But it was just a really good stencil and I decided to kind of ombre a bunch of raindrops. So I pulled out, the first ink you saw me use was Tumbled Glass, which was the lightest blue. And then I went in with Peacock. That's not peacock feathers. It's Broken China. I went in with Broken China, and now I'm going in with Stormy Sky, which is kind of navy, but it's light. It's not like a chipped sapphire navy. It's like a darker blue. It's a darker tone, but it's not like super opaque, if that makes sense. And I'm just going in randomly. So I put the first color, Tumbled Glass, all over the stencil, and then I picked a few places to put Broken China, and then I picked a few more places to put the Stormy Sky. And I'm making sure to like be really light-handed when I get close to the edges of where I want to put that ink, and then going a little heavier in the middle of the stencil. And you guys, how pretty does that look? Like, that worked out perfectly. So with these brushes, you can vary the pressure that you're using when you're blending your ink to get different effects. So if you go light, you get like really, like a light effect. So you see it kind of fades out from the edge of the stencil, and then right in the middle where I pressed really hard, that's where you get a really opaque impression. And I love how that came out so much. Those varied blue tones are just, you guys, they are speaking to me. They were so good. And then because there wasn't enough going on this background, I decided to ink the edges. Well, you get to watch me peel off washi tape. But since there wasn't enough going on in this background, I decided to ink the edges with weathered wood. Now, weathered wood is kind of gray, kind of blue. I don't even know what this color is. It's a blue-gray is what we're going to call it. It's like a medium tone blue-gray. It is definitely very, very cool. And I thought I would distress the edges of my paper with this color. So I took the same brush. I wiped it off on some paper towel. I am not super tidy when it comes to this type of stuff, you guys. I will show you my fingers a few times in this layout because I'm just so impressed with how dirty my hands get. But I just took the same brush and inked the edges of the paper and just went around in a circumferential fashion. When you're inking the edges of paper, you want to do it on a craft sheet or like a glass mat or something like this. And you want to come off the edge of the paper and then blend it on. This prevents you from getting like that circular demarcation. And it helps you get a really smooth blend. Also, it keeps the inking at the edge of the paper and prevents it from creeping onto the middle of your project, if that makes any sense. So you definitely want to start on a craft sheet or a blending mat or whatever have you and blend onto your surface. And that helps you get that really smooth edge. I did something similar with pinks in the layout that I shared on Instagram. And I loved how that came out, which is why I decided to do it again. And so now I pulled out the Brooke stamp set, and there is this big cloud in the stamp set. So I pulled out my VersaFine ink, and I decided to do some first, second, third generation stamping. So you see I inked it once, and then I stamped down 3 times. Same thing, inked it once, stamped down 3 times. And I think I do it 4 times, which is not like me because that is an even number. And who am I when my embellishments are in even groups and not in groups of 3? I have no idea. But I decided to go in now with the raindrop stamp, which is kind of just a bunch of dashed lines, but it gives the effect of a raindrop. And then I go ahead and do same thing. Stamp it 3 times without inking my stamp multiple times. And I stamp it twice in each cloud cluster. You can't really see it in the video. It's kind of faint, but you'll see it in the Actually, you don't see it in the after shots because I cover all of this up. That is the beauty of doing mixed media, is if you don't like it, at some point you're going to end up covering it up anyway. So I grab another stencil because there isn't enough going on in this background. And I'm just like, how much more can I add to this page? And so I grab my tonic embellishment mousses. These are from Nuvo. And these are lovely. They are so shimmery and they are so pretty. Now, with these embellishment mousses, you can do a bunch of things. You can thin them out with water and paint with them. You can use them like I'm using them with a stencil. You can do so many things. You can just brush them onto a page. But it is the first time you use them, you're probably going to be a little taken aback by the texture. They are not like, if you're used to using modeling paste or texture paste or anything like that, these embellishment mousses are not like paste. They are a completely different texture. So the easiest thing to do is just get a palette knife and then gently scrape the top until you get your color. And then think about buttering bread and just press it into your stencil. A little bit of this stuff goes a long way, so you don't need a ton of it. And you also want to make sure that you close it as soon as you're done using it because it will dry out, and if it dries out on you, it is useless. You are done. So the colors I used are Pink Flambe, English Heather, Cornflower Blue, and Powder Blue. And I found the links to these on scrapbook.com and in the Tonic website. So all the Distress Oxide colors that I've used and the embellishment mousse colors that I use are linked in the description box. And I'll be doing a few more videos on how to use these embellishment mousses because they are such a fun thing to have in your stash. I'm obsessed with rainbows, so I probably have more than I should. But I have a bunch of colors, but like, this is the color scheme that I go for the most. Like, I love pinks, purples, and blues in my scrapbooking. So if there are a few colors that you naturally gravitate to, then just start with a few of them instead of being like crazy like I am, where you have to have all the colors all the time. So that's what that heart stencil looks like layered over the raindrops. And I thought, my thought process when I started doing this was that it would look like smaller raindrops mixed into the bigger rain. So it's kind of like a scattered pattern. And it actually does end up looking like that. So it worked out really well. Like, all things considered, I think it came out pretty good. So I quickly hit that with my heat tool and made sure that was dry, and then went to work on the rest of my layout. So I typed my journaling on a journaling card using my electric typewriter. You will see that it is not perfectly centered because I still don't know how to use my typewriter. I've had it forever, but it is so heavy, and so I never take it down off my shelf, and so I never use it, and I still can't figure out how to space things properly so that my text is in the middle of my journaling card. The people who manage to do this on a regular basis, I applaud you, because every time I have to type something on a journaling card, it is an ordeal, and I do not want to do it. But I do it anyway because it's a really good way to add text to your layout. So what you saw me fussy cutting was a cloud, and that cloud was in another journaling card from the Brooke collection. I just wanted the cloud. I didn't really want the card, so I just used my EK Success fine tip scissors to fussy cut that out. Sorry for the shaky cam. I think my cats were running around while I was filming this, so if that happens periodically, I'm so sorry. I cannot keep the rapscallions away, so they run into my tripod every now and then. But I propped my cloud that I fussy cut out on foam, and then I'm trying to figure out what I want to stamp because I wanted to stamp another sentiment, and I think I just stamped Not Today using VersaFine ink. I love VersaFine, you guys. I know I talk about this ink all the time, but unless you're stamping on like a glossy surface like photo paper or the FJ labels, for example, you kind of can't use VersaFine or it'll smudge and smear. But if you're stamping straight on cardstock, VersaFine for detail images is my go-to ink of choice. I love the way it stamps. I get really clean lines and really clean impressions every time I use it. I don't know why I don't use it more often. I kind of rediscovered that I had VersaFine in my stash, and it is my go-to ink these days. So now I found this little vellum booklet that came in the Brooke collection. So I pulled out a minty teal blue piece, and then there was a purple piece, and there was kind of a pink floral piece, and I decided to layer that along the bottom of my journaling card just because there was extra space. When I was typing my journaling, I was like terrified that I was going to run out of space and not finish my sentence. So I stopped my journaling early, and then I had all that empty space at the bottom. So I just layered all those vellum pieces like that. And then I propped my my black cloud on fun foam. I'm just checking to make sure that it's straight. I don't know why I bother checking after I glue things down, because after I glue things down, there's very little I can do to make sure it is straight, but thankfully it was close enough to straight that it worked out. And then I decided to layer up some die cuts behind that cloud that I cut out. So I grabbed another cloud. These are from the Brooke die cut pack. So I grabbed that black and white like polka dot cloud, and then there was like a purple arrow, so I just put an arrow pointing at my journaling, which, you know, you guys are going to read the journaling anyway if you're looking at the layout, but it's more like, hey, look, there are words. And then I put that black cloud right on top of it and layer that up, and now I'm testing it against my background. And you see a lot of that mixed media work I did is covered up. You still see some of the hearts popping out. You still see the rain cloud, so you get the effect that I'm going for. But I say this all the time, when you do mixed media on a background, you always have to do more than you think you need if you want to see it. If you try to be like cautious and conservative, unless you don't embellish like I do, but if you embellish like I do, if you try to be cautious and conservative, then you're going to end up covering everything you do by the time you put your photo and your stuff down. So you always need more than you think you do. So now I'm working on matting my photos. And like I said, I'm just telling the story of a rainy day. Winter in New York City has been horrible. It has been raining almost every day, you guys. Literally every day it's just been raining. We've gotten snow like twice this entire winter, and at this point I would prefer the snow to the rain, because it's not even like real rain. It's not even like rain where you like open your umbrella. It's like that weird mist. So if you opened your umbrella anyway, it would blow under and get in your face. So all you can do is wear a hood and just be upset that it's raining all the time, which is 100% where I'm at. I'm over the rain. And I just checked the weather, and there's rain coming for us again. And I think it's going to rain straight through spring here. Like, we're not even going to get any sunshine. It's going to rain all of February and then rain all of March. And hopefully by the time we get to June, we'll have sun again. But I'm not very optimistic with how this season is going. So I'm just journaling about how I'm over the rain and how I miss the sunshine and how vitamin D is a good thing. And I don't have any because of this weather. And so I decide to stamp on a label, and I stamp letting go on that purple label. And for this, I end up pulling out my Ranger archival ink, because like I said, you cannot stamp on the Felicity Jane labels with VersaFine. You need something that's going to stick to a glossy surface. So I find that the Ranger archival ink or the StazOn inks, that's what I have in my stash. Those work the best for stamping on a glossy surface. And if you see me using a tape that's not my ATG on this, that is because my ATG is empty and I have a tape refill, and I do not have the energy and the mental fortitude it takes to refill it. The last time I refilled my ATG, I had to watch 3 YouTube videos to figure out how to do it. So maybe tomorrow will be a better day, but I'm using up the tiny scraps I have left in my tiny little tape runners to finish this layout, because I just didn't want to fight with my ATG. So I added some staples on both sides of my page, not for anything, it's not like it's holding anything together. I just like the texture of the tiny attacher. The tiny attacher is like my favorite tool in the world. Every place that I can use that little silly stapler, I almost always pull it out. It is just so much fun because it's tiny and it's just little cute staples. Like, why would you not want little cute staples on your page? So now I'm using my T-square to kind of orient myself and make sure that my photo and my journaling is at the same height. My photo is 4 by 3 1/4, so it's a little bit bigger than the journaling card, but they're the same height. So I wanted them to be even on the page. And then I decided to make my title Just Breathe. So I grab the pink puffy stickers that come in the Brooke collection, and just spell out the word Just Breathe across the bottom. So I put the just on the left side and breathe on the right. So my title is a little bit right heavy, but that's not something that ruffles me. And then I go ahead and I grab some of the rubber charms and stick some raindrops like enamel dots and call this done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this layout. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me, and that if you're thinking about giving the size of the Citrus Twist Life Crafted album a try, you really do give it. I love this size. It is so much fun to play with. And it's just really easy to make a fun layout to just tell your story. Nothing serious, nothing intense, just fun color and texture and dimension, and quick and easy. So that's all I have for you guys today. Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe if you're so inclined, and I will see you around on the next video. So till next time, keep it crafty and have the best day. Bye!